Maximize Business Value podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition their business on their terms. Our mission was born from the lessons we've learned from over 100 business transactions, which fuels our desire to share our experiences and wisdom so you can succeed. Now here's your host, CEO of Mastery Partners, Tom Bronson.
Hi, this is Tom Bronson, and welcome to Maximize Business Value, a podcast for business owners who are passionate about building long-term sustainable value in your business. In this episode, I'd like to welcome our guest, Jeff Sanders, who is the president of Southwest Point of Sale in San Diego, California. Jeff and I met a few years ago at a retail technology conference in the Bahamas, of all places. When I saw that he was from San Diego, arguably the capital of craft beer in the United States, I invited him to the only craft brewery in the Bahamas, the Pirate Republic Brewing Company, for an afternoon of craft beer and rum. Needless to say, we hit it off instantly. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, Jeff and his brother and partner, Mark, are clients of Mastery Partners, so we've gotten to know one another quite well over the last few years. Jeff and I even traveled to Alaska together, which was the inspiration for podcast episode 13, worth a listen. It's 5 business lessons from Alaska's Dalton Highway, which is made famous by the reality show Ice Road Truckers. Now, that's not why I asked him to join me here today. I asked him to join us to talk about creating and maintaining a customer-focused culture. So why would I ask the owner of a grocery technology business to come talk about customer service? Great question. Frankly, it's because his business enjoys the highest customer satisfaction scores I've ever seen. So Jeff knows a little bit about keeping customers happy. So welcome to Maximize Business Value, Jeff.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. Tell us a little bit about Southwest Point of Sale.
Well, my brother and our dad started the company in 1975. He had worked for NCR for 14 years before that. My dad retired in 1992, so it's been Mark and I ever since. And currently we've got 7 employees. We take care of primarily San Diego. We have customers in Los Angeles. We have quite a few customers in Las Vegas, some customers in Arizona as well. And as you said, we're primarily working in the grocery vertical. We do also convenience stores and liquor stores.
Awesome. So you and your brother have been running this business now for 30 years, right? Is that right? 30?
I was one of the younger people when I started in this business, and now I'm one of the older people.
That's right.
How did that happen?
Yeah. Most people who are, if anybody is watching this on YouTube, they'll see that we could be twins. So you're a good looking man. I can tell you that. So now, before we talk about how you maintain a world-class level of support, let me explain a little bit about Net Promoter Score for our audience and how it works. NPS. NPS was developed by consulting giant Bain & Company and is a way to measure and monitor customer satisfaction. It's based on a 1-question survey. The question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this company to a friend or colleague? Now, people who give a 9 or 10 are considered promoters, those folks who actively tell others about your business. Folks who give a 7 or 8 are considered neutrals. These are the people who might give a favorable review if asked, but won't go out of their way to promote your business. Anything 6 and under is considered a detractor, someone who would either give an unfavorable response when asked or worse, might actually be campaigning against the business. Now, when you get the results of the survey, you take the percentage of promoters minus the percentage of detractors, and that gives you your NPS score. The range is minus 100, which would be terrible, to plus 100, which would be perfect. Now, the creators of NPS say that anything over a 0 is good. Above a 20 is favorable, above 50 is excellent, and above 70 is what they call world class. Now, the Southwest POS NPS score is currently 94. That's the highest score I've ever seen. Now, to put this in perspective, Apple, which has one of the most dedicated customer bases in the world, has a current NPS score of 61. Now, that is excellent, but 94 is outrageous. So, Jeff, what do you attribute your world-class 94 NPS score?
Well, I can just tell you what the customers tell me, what they like. And the main thing that they like is that I answer the phone. They call here, they have a live person answer the phone, they get to talk to people right away. But especially if people want to get in touch with me, I always answer the phone. It doesn't matter what time it is. And if you think about your own requirements and in needing service on any number of things, when you can call and talk to someone immediately, that gets past a lot of frustration of automated phone systems, as an example. This is a big minus. We had somewhat of an automated phone system a long time ago, and we got rid of it. I was in here on a Saturday one time, and the phone kept ringing and going, hang up, ring, hang up, ring. And I thought, people are struggling with the automated system here. We've got to get rid of that. So even our after-hour service now is you talk to a live person, and they'll even keep that person on hold, call the service person who is working, and can even connect the two immediately. So even after hours, 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, you're still going to talk to a live person. You're not going to get voicemail. And people have said to me over and over again, that's really good. They really like that. And the fact also, if they want to talk to me, I'm always going to answer my phone. I mean, sometimes it's kind of an awkward time, but nevertheless, I always find time to talk to people, which sometimes not all that easy. And I've been in some crazy places in this world and still talking to customers, but that's one thing, and that's what people say over and over again, that they really like. The other thing, we have caring employees here, and they just do 110% in taking care of what things are. We take care of things that you wouldn't normally take care of in this business, but like file maintenance. The customer says, well, I just don't have time. We just go ahead and do it. We just close the whole loop, make sure everything's done. We don't leave anything hanging, and it takes good employees to do that, and that's another thing that we do. Those are the things that that kind of stand out, I think.
So you guys always answer the phone live, and I think that's almost unheard of, Jeff, in not only your industry, which is the technology industry for retail, because I know a lot of folks in that business. I used to be in that business myself. Having a phone answered by a live person is just outrageous, and so I applaud you for that. But you really believe, and I think your customers would attest, that having a live person that they can talk to every time they call really contributes to your customer satisfaction. Am I reading that right?
Absolutely. I mean, the most frustrating situations as consumers, I think for all of us, I don't want to name names, but there are companies that you call and it's press 3, press 7, press 9 to hear the menus again, go on and on and on. And it's like, I wish I didn't have to do business with these people.
I know. Yeah. I mean, if anybody from I was just scheduling, you knew this because of, we talked about this morning. I was scheduling with a doctor's appointment. I had to sit on hold, and, punch a bunch of numbers, and then they still had to call me back twice. for that, and that's outrageous. The worst is the airline industry, right? I booked a ticket. I wound up having to cancel because I was sick a couple of weeks ago. And in order to rebook that ticket, of course, I canceled it online, but I go online and it says, hey, to rebook your ticket, here's your credit to rebook your ticket, click here. And when I went to do that and went to use my credit, you have to call them. And so I called them. It was 8 o'clock at night. And I said, I wanted to use this credit. And it said, the if you'd like us to call you back, then you won't lose your place in line. We have your number. Your callback time is over 4 hours. I'm thinking this is 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, I want to call at 1 o'clock in the morning to rebook this. Come on. So my thought about their customer service is always been sort of relatively low. I won't name any names, but they go by the initials AA. And so I know Southwest is much better than that. And I know you use them a lot, but I agree. I think that whenever we call, we're in a society that we want instant satisfaction on things. And if we have to go through some sort of a phone tree, that it becomes more difficult. Now, how difficult was it for you to change? You had some sort of an automated system and then you changed it over. Was that a difficult process?
No, we just had to find a different company to work with, after hours company, and I think we've had the same one more than 10 years now. And we just had to set the expectation with them as to what we wanted, and of course, and mix it in with what we're doing here. So no, it's working out pretty well, I think now.
That's awesome.
That part we've got fixed, and I think that works for the most part. That works very, very well.
That's amazing. So few companies do that, and I know the bigger you are, the harder it is. But frankly, I just think that will go a long way toward improving customer satisfaction. So now, to be clear, NPS moves over time, right? It's not a fixed value, and I know that you've been measuring this, or we've been measuring this with you for at least 3 years, and each time it's been world class, but the number has changed. And so, how frequently do you measure your customer satisfaction?
We do it formally once a year with the RSPA. It's in January. Certainly worth, even just for that. It's free if you're an RSPA member. Everybody should join. It's well worth it, just even for this survey. But we send out 3 emails, ask customers to go to a survey, and that's where we get our results. And then the person at the RSPA goes over the results with us.
So, and that's Jim Roddy. Jim has been a guest on this podcast now 4 times, and he's the one who sort of spearheaded that whole customer satisfaction survey. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're in a business that serves the retail or restaurant technology sector, you should join the RSPA. If nothing else, you get this annual survey and the results for free.
Absolutely worth it.
Yeah, worth every penny of it. So why is it important for you to I know you actually have more touch points and you find out, how well you're doing when you talk with customers, but why do you think it's important to measure customer satisfaction annually?
Well, we don't have much turnover here, but our customers certainly do. And the customers are bringing in new people all the time. They don't really know who we are, and they don't know how we operate, and we don't know who they are. And so I think with the amount of turnover these days, probably more than once a year would be a good idea. But certainly once a year, I think it's important, because you're working with while the customers are the same, the people within the stores are likely different. So we want to hear from people.
I hadn't really thought about that. We talk about employee turnover, and of course, employee turnover, we're going to talk about that after the break, but that's a huge issue. But I hadn't really thought about customer employee turnover, right? And so you might be dealing with different people.
Oh,
And so,
absolutely.
yeah, okay. I never even really thought about the fact that you're interacting with different people inside your customer. It might be the same owner, but
Yeah.
you have a different person that you're talking to on the phone on a regular
Store
basis.
manager, front end manager. This is the case more and more now.
I bet. I
And
bet.
people call in and I go, who's that?
Right. Right. So, and I know you maintain close relationship with all of your customers as well. So I bet it's even surprising when you hear a new name sometimes. So are you ever surprised by the results of the survey because you survey religiously, annually? Are you ever surprised by the results?
Sometimes, like last year, our score took a little dip all the way down to 74. Um, and that was a little bit of a surprise. And, we looked over the results and it doesn't take much from just a few people, not to put ones and twos, but, even fives and sixes really knock your score down. So I think that kind of thing is inevitable sometimes, but I also know that I want to try to figure out who it was and go and figure out what the problem is and fix it. And the detractors, the couple people that were only moderately happy last year, reported back much higher this year. So mission accomplished there.
So it's
So
important. It's important then for you to act on the results of the survey, as what I'm hearing.
yeah, and I get people, they don't want to do the survey for their company. People don't want to go to the doctor either. And that's really, I think, what it is. You go to the doctor, he's going to tell you what's right and wrong with you. And while we don't sometimes want to know that, if you're trying to run a good business, I think you need to.
Yeah, definitely. Really keeping kind of that pulse on there. Now, um, just to be clear, with your survey results, I want the 94. Why wasn't it 100? You had all of your surveys came in at nines or tens, but you had 1 7, I think it was. Maybe it was an 8. So your percentage of nines and tens was 94. You had nobody this year that was a detractor. And that's huge. I think last year, maybe you had one detractor, which knocked it all the way down to 74, which is still world class, right? Way higher than Apple, that has a very high customer satisfaction rate. But still, it's important to monitor that and to pay attention. I love the fact that you actually try to figure out what's the problem so that I can go out and solve this and get higher scores later. Do you share the results with your employees and with your customers?
We do have a meeting with our employees and make sure everybody's on board here with what we're trying to accomplish and everybody gets to see the results. So, that's a good reinforcement. We actually post the results on our website. There's a page on our website. I actually have a one-page piece of literature that I email out with my proposals. And you know what I've started doing when I talk to potential new customers now, I'm just flat out straight with them. I said, you can shop around for features and you can shop around for things based upon price. And I understand, Mr. Customer, that's all you really understand. But this business that you're getting into is about service. And I can tell you our service is outstanding. And that is really the reason you should do business with us, not because we're cheaper, not any other reasons. It's because we're going to give you good service. And here's a list of all our customers, and you call any one of them. And if you find anybody that's not happy with the service, I sure would like to know about it.
Do you give prospects a complete customer list? Here, just call any of them.
I do.
Wow. That is a bold statement. But the statement of somebody who has such a high NPS score. And, there's something about if I tell you that I have excellent service, that sort of, water off a duck's back, right? But if somebody else is telling you that I have excellent service, then that's meaningful. And so I love the fact that you're sharing these survey results with your prospects as well as your customers. I'm imagining, do your prospective clients, do they ever call your customers and get a reference from you?
I think they do, because everybody knows somebody in this business.
Sure.
And I think that they probably do. I really want them to do that, because me telling them, they don't know who I am, but their friends, they know who they are. And, we don't do demonstrations of product anymore. I just tell people to go and visit people who are using it and talk to them and see what's going on there. Our customers really, if you keep the customers happy, they're going to be your best salespeople.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the fact that you have such a high score and share your customer list, and to be clear, it's very rare that a company has such high market share. I mean, you guys really own the market that you're in. There's no doubt about that. But I would posit that part of the reason that you own the market is because you have such high customer satisfaction. And so when customers are making a decision over you versus someone else, the great differentiator and the way you and Mark have differentiated the company is world-class service, because at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to in your business. I love that. I love that. So we're talking with Jeff Sanders. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Every business will eventually transition, some internally to employees and managers, and some externally to third-party buyers. Mastery Partners equips business owners to maximize business value so they can transition their businesses on their terms using our 4-step process. We start with a snapshot of where your business is today. Then we help you understand where you want to be and design a custom strategy to get you there. Next, we help you execute that strategy with the assistance of our amazing resource network. And ultimately, you'll be able to transition your business on your terms. What are you waiting for? More time? More revenue? If you want to maximize your business value, it takes time. Now is that time. Get started today by checking us out at www.masterypartners.com or email us at info@masterypartners.com to learn more.
We're back with Jeff Sanders, president of Southwest Point of Sale in San Diego, and we're talking about customer satisfaction. Before the break, we talked a little bit about kind of methodology and some of the results. Jeff, in your opinion, what is the secret? I'm asking for the secret sauce now. What is the secret to maintaining high customer satisfaction?
Well, there's several things. I talked about answering the phone. I would really suggest anybody out there, if you can do it, just get rid of voicemail. I just won't leave voicemail anywhere. I got to figure out a different way to get in touch with people. Voicemail, who knows when somebody's going to listen to the voicemail. So I would say, get rid of the voicemail if you can. What we do here is we instant message or take messages, text, give a call. When somebody comes in, that's how we get messages to people immediately. So it's brought to their attention. They know what it is. It's not some voicemail that's lost somewhere with 10 other voicemails. So that recommendation. The other thing that we do that I talk to other resellers, they don't do it. We take care of the POS system. We take care of the pin pads as well. We do scales. We're doing as much as we can with automation in the store so that they don't have to go shopping somewhere else. I think that's really important.
A broad product selection that serves their needs. And I know you and I talked about that quite a bit.
They don't have to go somewhere else.
That's it. If they don't have to, and then they don't get to sample service elsewhere, right? And decide that it's better. That is excellent. Kind of wrap your arms around all of the customer needs in your sector, which is really technology, right? For Retailers and grocery.
And the customers like it because they already like our service. And when we say, well, we'll take care of this and this and this, they're like, hey, great.
I have a term for that. I call it one throat to choke. Because if you go to a multitude of different vendors to solve a problem, then when something breaks, who do you call, right? Well, but if I've got one company that can satisfy all of these needs, then I've got one number that I need to call. And I didn't think about that, but that really would contribute to higher customer satisfaction. So tell us about your employee turnover. We talked a little bit about this, touched on it before, but do you have a high turnover? Tell us about your experience with employee turnover.
Our turnover here is almost non-existent. We did have one employee retire recently. He had been here 38 years.
Oh my.
Spent pretty much his whole life here. We do have another employee here, minor owner now, that has been here 43 years.
43 years.
Years. Only job out of college here.
Oh,
yeah. Of course, I've been here 30 something. Mark's been here 30 something. We did hire a person about a year and a half ago. And so, our turnover is minimal, and that really helps us along with what we're trying to do, obviously. We did, I'll tell you this story. This was back in the early 90s, I think. We had, before I was really kind of in charge here, we had a service manager, and it started pushing this idea of getting faster, better service for customers. And he said, I'll never forget this, we don't want to get the customers used to good service.
Whoa, you said we don't want to get the customers used to good service?
Yeah, because then they're going to always expect it.
This is somebody at your company?
Not anymore. No, he left shortly after. He didn't mix with what we were really trying to do here. I mean, I never forgot that. I thought, you know what? As long as that guy's here, we're in deep trouble.
That's amazing. I will tell you that I had a similar experience at one of my technology companies. We were having a challenge with, we'd already brought it up here, telephones, right? And customer support calls. Now we had an enormous volume. We had 12,000 customers worldwide, 38 different countries. And I remember our chief operating officer said on one of our management meetings, well, we just need to train the customers to put in all of their calls online, and then we don't have to worry about whether or not we answer the phone. And I said, would you say that again? And he repeated it. And I said, stop, stop. There is customer satisfaction does not start with us teaching our customers to interact with us online. It starts with answering their calls and being responsive to their needs. And I said, everybody ignore what he just said. We're going down a different path. And he'd been with me for about 5 years. He didn't last much longer after that statement. That's it. I mean, if you train the customers to expect excellent service, then you need to deliver excellent service or they're going to be disappointed. But to train them to expect terrible service, what kind of a customer satisfaction thing is that? Holy cow.
Well, the satisfaction wasn't very good back then. And after he left and we put somebody else in there, things.
That was 25 years ago, 27 years ago. But I'm glad you brought that up because it is possible to change the outcome on your customer satisfaction. Do I have that right? So, yeah. So now, do you think that, very low turnover, you mentioned you had to hire somebody a year and a half ago. That was the last hire you made. Do you think that contributes to the customer satisfaction? And if so, how so?
Well, because yeah, it does. Not only do the customers get used to the people that they're dealing with, but we really have to train or want to train our employees to have the right mindset. And once they learn the right mindset and what the expectation is, then we're past that. If we are constantly hiring and firing people, it would be a constant retraining on our part to do that. And maybe there's a little bit of that anyway, but with people being here so long, everyone understands what we're trying to do.
And even when, look, in any business, you have challenges sometimes in the office, but I've heard you say this before. Even if you're in the middle of some challenges internally, whenever somebody's talking to a customer, they just turn on the charm. Because they know we're on stage now with our customers, and that is so very important. So if somebody's having a bad day, you can't have a bad day with the customer, and that's a value that you just must teach to your employees. So, there's an old saying that the customer is always right. Is that your philosophy, and does that ring true in your business?
The customer is frequently right, but no, they are not always right. Sometimes they don't know what they're talking about. I know more about POS than they do.
They probably know more about their grocery store than you do, but you know more about.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know more about point of sale than they do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they want to think that they know more about it than I do. Sometimes they just make stuff up, and we all have customers like that. So no, the customer's not always right, but we're going to make things right for them.
Oh, I like that. Customer's not always right, but we're going to make it right for them. That's a great mindset to have, and something that you instill in all of your people. So, besides kind of the NPS question, are there other things that you're measuring in your annual survey of your customers?
Yeah, the survey's got 17 questions. I think one of the questions is, are you planning on buying anything in the coming year?
And why would you ask that question?
Well, I need to go talk to them if they're planning on buying something. So the other thing is, are there any features in your current system that that you'd like, that it doesn't have maybe, and you'd like to have? That's another. Are you maybe thinking about buying something? So those are two questions that I really focus on from a sales perspective.
Now, on occasion, customer, I think one of the questions that you ask is there something that around technology that we don't have that you'd like us to have? And on occasion, you've been able to turn up customers who didn't realize that you carried certain products, and so that's kind of a gold mine, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just a good byproduct of the survey.
Yep. Yeah. So you can survey other things now in its purest forms. The NPS survey should be a one question survey, but I like the way you've kind of incorporated. And this is not the first question you ask. It's somewhere way down the line. It's like
toward the end.
Yeah, toward the end of it, because now they've had a chance to kind of warm up to answering that question. But I love that. People ask me all the time, what does customer satisfaction have to do with value of a business? Let me just share a short story with you about that. People who buy businesses want to buy a sustainable business. They're buying the business based on the historic performance, but make no mistake, what they're buying is future performance of that business. And a business that has low customer satisfaction, low recurring revenue. We didn't even talk about recurring revenue today. You guys have world-class recurring revenue in your business as well. But customers who or businesses that don't have those kinds of sustainable things that are predictable for the future take a haircut on valuation when it comes time to exit their business. We had a situation years ago where we had a division of a company that had very low customer satisfaction. When I say very low, it was abysmally low. It was a minus 27 when we measured it. It's a company we acquired, poor customer service. We needed to turn that around and fix it, but it was right around the time we were selling the company as a whole. And so I reported that low customer satisfaction to the buyer in this situation. And after they completed their due diligence and they came back for what I lovingly call the retrade conversation, I'm not going to go into that here, but if you want to talk about retrade or learn more about that, go search on our website for the dreaded due diligence blog and podcast. And I talk about the retrade. But after they'd done their due diligence, they came back and said, hey, we need to lower the price, the purchase price for your business because you have such low customer satisfaction. And I pointed out to them that we had disclosed that in advance. And when they measured it, it measured higher than what we measured. And so therefore, the things that we reported to them before they made an offer were actually working. And so our customer satisfaction was improving. And while I appreciated their effort to reduce the purchase price based on that, since I had already disclosed it to them before they made an offer, that we weren't going to be adjusting the price based on that. So it had everything. That buyer specifically was looking at customer satisfaction and specifically wanted to lower the price as a result of it. So if you do have historically bad customer service, the way we did in that one division, develop a plan to fix that. You know, Jeff already said on this podcast that just because you have poor customer satisfaction today doesn't mean you have to have it tomorrow, right? Figure out where the hot buttons are, what the points are that the customers are looking for, and go out and fix it. And it has everything in the world to do with the value of your business and whether or not it is transferable. So sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now. Jeff, it's been a fun conversation. Let me ask you one last business question. You're a business owner, have been for 30 years, you and your brother. This podcast is all about maximizing business value. What is the one most important thing you recommend business owners do to build value in their business?
Something we talked about at RSBA Inspire last month. And that is, if possible, if you can, hire people who care. Hire people who care. And they're just much better employees, and your customers will be much happier as well.
That's almost something you can't train. So you need to be asking those questions in the hiring process. I actually, 2 or 3 episodes ago, we had Jim Roddy on talking about hiring process. Make sure, I think that's great advice, Jeff. Make sure that you measure that and that you can hire people who actually care. That's a trait and a quality that you probably can't teach. So I'm not going to let you off the hook. You know, even though we're friends, you're a client. I have to ask you my bonus question because everybody who listens to our podcast always wants to hear the answer to the bonus question. So Jeff, are you ready? Here it is. What personality trait has gotten you into the most trouble through the years?
Well, you're talking about customer satisfaction or just in general?
In general.
You know, if I think back, honestly, in selling and pricing things, I've always been really, really fair with people. And this has been a problem, actually, because most customers want a lot more discount. And, you know, that'll be something looking back. You know, not that I shouldn't have been fair with people, but just that whole process, I think, of negotiation has not been real fair to the company.
I get it. I get it. That's
that is if you're asking about regrets, that is something that I think the customer has done very well, and maybe the company it's not been quite as fair for.
So that could, well, fortunately, you have a great business, a very profitable business that's very well run. So occasionally making a mistake like that, I know that too many times folks jump out and they don't leave a little room for negotiation, right? And a customer that wants to negotiate it is not going to be satisfied unless they negotiate. You need to learn who those customers are. I've had many of those through the years. Other folks that I've dealt with are bottom line price, just give it to me, off we go. And I think it's really more about knowing who your customer is at the time, right? Because you might want to do a bottom line price right up front to some.
Well, that's the way I operate, but unfortunately, the majority of the customers are not that way. So.
No, I totally get it. Jeff, this has been a fun conversation about creating world-class service. I hope that everybody who listens to this podcast aspires to a 94. That's just such an outrageous customer satisfaction. Thank you for being our guest today, Jeff.
My pleasure. Thank you, Tom.
You can find Jeff Sanders at southwestpos.com. Or, of course, you can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to make a warm introduction. I guarantee you could learn things from Jeff Sanders and his brother Mark about how to create world-class customer satisfaction in your business. This is the Maximize Business Value podcast, where we give practical advice to business owners on how to build long-term sustainable value in your business. Be sure to tune in each week and follow us wherever you found this podcast so you'll never miss an episode. Until next time, I'm Tom Bronson, reminding you that customer satisfaction can have a huge impact on the value of your business. So think about that while you maximize business value.
Thank you for tuning into the Maximize Business Value podcast with Tom Bronson. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition on their terms. Learn more on how to build long-term sustainable business value and get free value-building tools by visiting our website, www.masterypartners.com. That's master with a Y, masterypartners.com. Check it out.
That was perfect. I wouldn't make any changes on that.